They'll be calling you a radical. This is a really, really important video. I want people to understand. It even took me a long time as the visual artist, as the conceptual artist, to understand how powerful this genre is. Artist communication, holy Moses, Michelangelo, to realize that YouTube has become the great historical virtual library, the great art form, the virtual library. And historically, it's very important. The published copyright dates on these videos has been ruled by the United States Supreme Court in the United States. They're not paintings. They're not digital, they're books. They mirror copyright law, so the published date means everything. And so, that horrific, horrific event in Chernobyl, which first and foremost, Fukushima is tens of thousands of Chernobyls. Fukushima is tens of thousands of Chernobyl. Chernobyl has killed millions of people. Can you figure it out? This is your brain on, this is your bone marrow on Chernobyl. This is your bone marrow on Fukushima. Any fucking questions? One meltdown partial, 500,000 man sent in doing tomb. It happened on the 25th here in the United States of usury. The madman. The greatest event. Hiroshima, Nagasaki, Chernobyl, Fukushima. Game over. The mad, crazed control freaks. They went too far. So I'm going to read this. I want people to understand that this is all in honor of those girls that Chernobyl has murdered. In the Ukraine, those girls would go in to Chernobyl. That incredible sign that she holds up. Killed by peaceful nuclear. I think that is the greatest piece of art I've ever seen in my life, holy Moses. They take their shirts off and hold it up to call attention. They woke Europe up. There's no waking these American usury sheep up. They'll take their dogma to their grave. But historically, people will be able to go back. So when this happened on the 25th, it even happened on the 25th in Ukraine. It started, and right after midnight, it evolved. And I'm going to go through, and I'll post the timeline, how this went down. The propaganda. Remember, I was in Vienna when Igor was killed in the car wreck. Right there on the road. I believe he was on the road between Budapest and Vienna. Think about his photos, you know, and they didn't even work, some of them. He just luckily got one because of the radiation, clear up in the plane. Think about the news station with the airplane. Think about the news station. I mean, we worry about whistleblowers here, and whistleblowers take ball. You know, can you imagine him having the balls to do that, and the news station to do that? How they weren't killed is beyond me. Speaking of that, I just got off the phone with our great whistleblower, the original great nuclear whistleblower. She just called me. The phone rings and it's Laura Monet, and I'm like, she's Kevin, you know. I mean, I said, you do know this is 30 years exactly right now. This horrific event, Chernobyl. Yeah, where are our fucking whistleblowers? You know, America, home of the cowards. I go back to the Pentagon Papers. You know, how many people have had access? One person reports. Go back to Snowden, how many people CIA rats? Snowden admits his mom and dad were CIA. He goes into detail about Obama's grandparents CIA. He goes about, but at least people in CIA can. He was CIA, you know. But I guess they can't do it. I guess everybody's on the winning team, and they're willing to give their bone marrow and their life. I'm going to read this. This is February of 1986. This is the Lion nuclear you know, I call it the nuclear triangle. As you know, the nuclear vagina. I painted in that thesis long before. I hypothesized Fukushima before it was Fukushima. Lauren did. I mean, look it up. 2007, she was asked in an interview, where's it going to happen? She says it's going to happen at Fukushima Daiichi. Not because she hypothesized in intuitive mind. She was a geophysicist. She studied earthquakes her whole life. She could put the map together and decide where's the most vulnerable, when, how. Go back to 2002, she was saying it's going to happen at Fukushima Daiichi. You know, where's it going to happen next? Tick tock, tick tock. The Diablo San Clemente clock. Tick tock, tick tock. You know, boom! Chernobyl, Fukushima. Fukushima is thousands of Chernobyls. There's no end because Marie Antoinette, that weakling, yes, master puppet, stood down to the royals, to the royals, to the nuclear uranium royals. Stand down, puppet. Our forefathers are rolling in our grave. George Washington would kick this guy right in his balls. There he's standing with baby Prince George. I thought we threw King George out, so I'm going to read this. Ukraine, 1986, February. I'll butcher these Russian names. Vitali Sklyarov, Minister of Power and Electrification of Ukraine, in reference to the nuclear reactors in Ukraine, is quoted in Soviet Life magazine as by saying, February 1986, the odds of a meltdown are 1 in 10,000 years. Plants have safe and reliable controls that protect from any breakdown and their safety systems. 1986, Ukraine. Let's see, 25 years. TIC TOC, San Clemente State. And I want to report this too, that a well washed up right at San Clemente nuclear reactor yesterday. There's another one. I just got a call from an activist down there. Says there's another one floating out in the water. I says, get down there, get your camera, and take the picture of the well up at the reactor if you could. You know, and if you can, you know, you ain't got to scratch Fukushima in the well like those great activists, but just maybe hold up a sign in front of the well, Fukushima killed me. Hold up a sign, if you can, any of you get down there, hold up a sign that says, killed by peaceful nuclear energy for that mammal. You know, and if you don't believe me on all this, the starving, look, I was full of leukemia fighting for my life. When you die of leukemia, you look like you're starving to death. The rescue mission in San Francisco came out a year ago and said 33% of all the animals that we've rescued, the sea lions and whatever, 33% of them are full of AML leukemia. How many of the wells are full of leukemia? You know, you can't see it, you can't taste it. So anyway, I'm going to read this that the head of the Fukushima Hounds wrote, which is brilliant. I think it's the best I've heard. She wrote this, sent it to Jay Collin, you know, used are all these nuclear apologists, all these, you know, as they've got academia, everybody, you know, on the wrong team. She wrote, this is brilliant. I'm going to read it. And then I'm going to read some more stuff. And I'm going to post this to the second of 30 years ago, publish when that happened. That's my whole plan on this. So historically, people can go back in time and because these fanny goats here don't care, they won't ever, but historically 5 years, 10 years, 100 years, they can go, wow. Wow, that's what artists do. Michelangelo, nobody fucking gave him shit. He died miserably and horribly. He was never the panty painters painted. How many panty painters have painted over my work? I mean, but record, that's what artists do. We record history. All of your mathematical equations at this point of the ongoing Fukushima release are a complete waste of public monies, and especially our time. I'm not a scientist, but I'm a person of high intellect and very educated, as though any of that really matters. Although I was given the gift of simple logic and common sense, the many within the genius category seem to be missing. No personal connections are intended, but the shoe fits. You are basing your studies on fraudulent information supplied by TEPCO and other scientists, as well as the deceitful nuclear PR persons, all controlled by the IAEA. Also, you are treating this study as though the large releases from Fukushima only occurred for a certain amount of time, as though they have this release under control now. Also fraudulent information. You have mentioned the process of dilution, which again is not an accurate understanding of man-made radioisotopes, and they are constantly being released. As they do not dilute, they accumulate, the same as lead or mercury accumulates within the body. But unlike lead or mercury, they undergo fission, causing them to alter and become different isotopes. Some of them have longer lives, become more deadly. I am sorry, but with listening to and watching your video lecture, and she's talking about Jay Collin, but this can go to any of these pro-nuclear PR freaking regurgitating rats. You know, we're not singling out Jay, we're singling out all of them, you know, we're not singling out Ken. You know, everybody's got the right to their opinion, but this is who you are. I mean, this is to the whole academia liar, take the Kool-Aid for the money, you know, PR, as Dana calls them, nuclear pukes, you know. I have expected to hear you beginning comparing this man-made background radiation to a banana. Forgive me for the expectation, but many of the studies you have referred to and base your on were produced by Ken Buser's, who does fraudulently claim that the man-made radioation is no more dangerous than a natural radiation banana, which is criminal. I understand that the IAEA has been feeding nuclear scientists incorrect information about Fukushima since the beginning of this ongoing event. And although they have listened to the more accurate estimates of the Japanese are not associated with TEPCO, they have a chokehold on science. On all information be released to the public. This uses earnest scientists associated with the university as well as the private studies. I'm sorry to pop your bubble, but this is sad and sorry display of ultimate power and control in the name of their heinous need to further their alternative motive to continue their deadly nuclear program. Hang with me. While you have your nose buried in scientific problems and sums based on incorrect estimates provided the Fukushima release, you are aware that the Cancer Treatment Cancers of America has now changed the cancer statistics of 4.61 to 1,000 becoming ill with cancer, to a 1 in 2 men and a 1 in 3 women. You are even aware that the World Health Organization has recently made an announcement that we will from now on see a tidal wave of cancer. I appreciate their sublet choice of words in their description of the numbers to a tsunami. Do these figures not alarm you in any way to the fact that you may have been fed deliberate inaccurate figures to base your studies on, or are you just that naive protege of Ken Brewster? Well, I understand your tendency in your field of research and obvious need to mathematics equate sums, which no longer have relevance to the urgency of the situation on this ongoing event. I ask you if the matters really how many bullets does it take to kill a person? Let me make this answer to you simple and very clear. 1 bullet into a person's head will kill that as same as 100 bullets. It is the firing mechanism that needs to be dealt with now, not the amount of ammunition. Your scientific jabber to a group of laymen or mathematical equations is no longer an issue to the argument, the threat of our existence and the urgency of this problem. The issues to that the release of radiation from the ongoing spewing from Fukushima into our oceans and atmosphere are rapidly depleting our Earth of the life that is mandatory to the supply of oxygen that makes the planet hospitable to us. Never mind the cancers resulting from these elements. Your studies from inaccurate figures are a waste of our resources and precious time. The focus now needs to be shifted from the scientific mathematical arguments to the removal of the power to these who would see the human race annihilate, so the chokehold can be removed and a proper scientific think tank can be formed to figure out a solution to this ongoing release that is now rapidly killing our planet. I would ask you to now, it is your presence to say, with your useless studies of figures, in the light of the real dangers of this issue, or would you not prefer to be part of the scientific think tank that would be desperately in need to ratify this event that threatens our existence of this beautiful planet we call home? Please know I am no way belittling you as a scientist. We need you and others in your field of expertise, as well as the other fields, whether they be art, philosophy, medicine, law, etc., to make the human race whole. That is, if we survive this planetary event. If not, then none of this matters. Let me now close my narrative with this logical and self-searching compounded question. Follow with the final analysis of your choices in answering this question. Question: why do you think you are personally given the gift of scientific mind that you are obviously to have was to be part of saving the human race, or was to be fooled into being part of the annihilation of the human race? If the honest answer you feel within yourself is the want and need to save, then I commend you, and I hope you will be part of doing that. If your inner answer in this letter is the latter, then I pity you. And I'm going to this thing, April 25th, Friday. This is Chernobyl's, right from their logs. Hang with me. It's important, it's historical. April 25th, Friday, Ukraine, Chernobyl. 1 o'clock. It was 1 in the morning. The reactor was running at full power with normal operation. Steam was detected to both turbines of the power generator. Slowly the operation began to reduce power for the test. The purpose of the test was to observe the dynamics of the RMBK reactor with limited power flow. 13:05, so we're going 13 hours later. 12 hours after power reduction was initiated, 12 hours after the power reduction was initiated, the reactor reached 50% power. Now only one turbine was needed to take in the decreased amount of steam caused by the power decrease in the turbine. Number 2 was switched off. 1,400 hours. Under the normal procedures of the test, the reactor would have normal reduced to 30% power, but the Soviet electric authorities refused to allow this because of an apparent need for electricity elsewhere, so the reactor estimate remained at 50% power for another 9 hours. Emergency core cooling system switched off. Okay, then we get exactly midnight, April 26th, Ukraine, which was here, you know, we're talking 4 o'clock-ish here, mountain time. Alekas Akinov, the unit shift chief in charge of the test, takes over the Trestles, who stands on site. 28 seconds later, control rods transfer from local to global control. Wow, from local to global control. Power plummets in the reactor. Fuel rods withdraw. The drop in the reactor power from 1,500 MWTs to 30 MWTs is disconnecting. Akinov wants to hear the test, but is overridden by Dyatlov and forced to continue. Ananat Dyatlov, the department chief engineer, supervised the test. At the moment, reactor power shipped to 30 MW thermal. He insisted the operation continued the test. He overrode Akinov's and Toponov's objections, threatening to hand the shift to Turbogov, the precious shift operator who remained on site. Intimidating them into attempting to increase the reactor power, the power stabilized at 200 MWT at around 1 a.m. and did not rise further due to continued xenon poisoning of the core. 103, fourth cooling pump connected to right loop. 1:19 a.m. Shutdown signals blocking from steam drum specters. The operating blocks automatic shutdown to the low water level and the loss of both turbines because of the fear of the shutdown would abort the test. The operation forces up to 7% power by removing all the 6 of the control rods. This was a violation of procedure as the reactor was never built to operate at such low power. The RBMK reactor is. While you have, oh, excuse me. Well, anyway, I'll post the rest. Apparently I didn't get the rest posted off. Sorry about that. But it goes on and on. My point is this, and I'll post it all, and you can read through it, is man-made error, man-made error. Fukushima was not man-made error. That's why Lauren Murray's work was so powerful. She's a geophysicist. She was the original whistleblower at Livermore. It's amazing. I'm having a conversation with her on the phone. We're talking about Lawrence. We're talking about Oppenheimer. We're talking about all these guys. Oh, yeah, me and he. And she'd tell me stories, you know. She knew them all. I mean, because, look, these madmen build these reactors at Japan Post Yalta by the Sea. You know, they divide up Yalta by the Sea. He drops dead. You know, this control mechanism, Japan. Well, I've ranked for years and years. I've done lectures for decades. Where's it going to happen? California or Japan? You know, it's just logic. You know, the reactors. So I've ranked for years, you know. The dangerous reactors in the world are Japan, of course. But I rank the North America and my North America ratings, which I've ranked for years. 1, San Onofre. 2, Diablo Canyon. 3, Indian Point. 4, Oyster Creek. And I can go on and on and on and on. They're catastrophes and why San Onofre, you know, one thought we could get them shut down. We got them shut down because they're afraid the collusion, the lies. I mean, that's the only way we get them to break this power structure is we have whistleblowers come forward and break the collusion, the lies. Kamala Harris raids Cherry's house, or PV's house, the head of the California Public Commissions, who told right in a public area, told us to fuck off, go fuck ourselves right in a public area. He said it. He always paid $250,000 a year as a public servant. It's outrageous. She goes clear to Warsaw, Poland. There it is. $3 billion. $3 billion. PG is looted out of you. And you know, Karen, you know, and then she backs off. Moonbeamer Brown protects him, signs vetoes. The, you know, Skull and Bone Jill, roommate of his, is the judge he appointed, should recluse himself by law. He, you know, overturns, you know, that we get to see Moonbeamer Brown's emails back and forth. You know, as I've been writing about the emails, and here, Rover, you know, who do you think Fox News is? Come on, Fox News are these people. You know, they put out the narrative. Here, go catch the shiny ball. Hillary's emails themselves say, we use the Huffington Post for, she says it right in, WikiLeaks has leaked them. You know, here they are. We use the Huffington Post to place articles and the propaganda, and they work beautifully. She names off who she uses. They use them all, the regurgitation. She says on 4-4, Humma, who, I mean, she's married to Wiener Boy. I mean, think about that. So, she says we have to go after social media figures that are reporting this accident. Well, I was the only one reporting it, and they went after me. You know, I shortly after that get leukemia. You know, I want to say this, you know, to you people. I mean, these Americans, the United States of user, I mean, America toxic. They're bringing all the nuclear waste into New Mexico. They're bringing it all over here. They've toxified this place. Longevity's crashing. It's wonder any of us freaking, you know, Prince is abstracting. No. 57-year-old people are dropping like flies. Incredible healthy. Cesium heart attacks. Boom. You know, and you think that's all fairy tale shit. Look at Radnett's own dishes. You know, I love his work. Y'all post his website. The American Vets, he's been tracking this intensely. All roads lead to Vienna. Oh boy. You know, she goes in, she holds up that sign. You know, I did a lot of work with with Annika. She came here. She got political asylum, believe it or not, here. And we did a lot of work on the Nevada test site in her and I. She died of leukemia at 38 years old on April 23rd, 1999. And so, Chernobyl has killed many millions of people and will continue to kill forever, you know, in the annals of time. Fukushima is thousands. Fukushima is the greatest event in human history, bar none. 30 years is horrible, and you go back to the cover-up of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. We let the emperor stand. Hirohito stands. You know, we firebomb them all out except for the Forbidden City. One city, you know, he lets stand. Where are they piling up the waste in that city? You know, they're bringing the waste. I was in Vienna when they got permission to take name of origin. By law, they have to have name of origin of the waste labeled. The bags, which are approaching 11 million bags all over Japan. I have friends that just got back. I begged them not to go, and they're like, oh my God, we listened to this to you. We went to the Forbidden City. We went there, and my God, you can't believe it. It's horrible. I said, yeah, you probably got cancer. You know, 2 years later. When I was in Vienna, I saw bootleg videos inside Chernobyl that nobody's seen. And if you've never seen at the exclusion that Jesus on the cross with the radioactive fire and the radioactive sign, it's so haunting and eerie. You're never going back. And they killed the Pacific Ocean. Fukushima's millions of Chernobyls because 500,000 men went in Chernobyl. Annika told me that her uncles in the Ukraine were 19 and 18. She says they just came in the night, knocked on the door. They didn't ask. They said, let's go. Get your things. I've come to take you home. 500,000 men, Gorbachev entombed. We would have never known if it was not for Igor. Igor would not done it, and that incredible, you think about the guts. He passed away when I was in Vienna. I found out I was standing at the UN, watching Ariba going with hat in hand. You can't make it up. I was in Freedom Eisenblar's house on the 200th anniversary of Waterloo. This all goes back to Waterloo. This all goes back to Budapest. I talked to Teller's family in Budapest. How do you think I know where the rat's buried? The weakling of them all they found to run it. You know, I still believe Teller was involved in Chernobyl. But man-made? Natural-made? Yeah, both of them. The triangle, Chernobyl, Fukushima, TIC TOC, TIC TOC. The Diablo San Onofre clock, nuclear waste. To her who went in there and held that up, I think it's the greatest piece of art since Holy Moses. Now, I won't take my shirt off. I did that video and I rebroadcast it again today. It's that important. With the juggler out in honor to those women. I want to say this in honor to, that video is in honor to all the men and women that the nuclear cartel has mass murdered, which is the tens and hundreds of millions. It's a horrible way to die. You know, in honor to them. I was in that bone marrow transplant center, going in and out of a coma. More aggressive, more radical, my doctors will tell you. Straight up. That Danish philosophy doctor saved my life. A group of about 40 of us went in there. I'm the only one alive. AML de nouveau. The fight is the life. And, you know, I was left here for a reason. When I watch them all pass and die, I know my path. My dad nuked to death in the Nevada test site. The atomic marine, they cut his tonsils out. They have his tonsils in jars at Berkeley to this day. Cal Berkeley, the head of the snake. I stood in the Metropolitan and watched the University of Michigan, head of the snake, and MIT rat touch Lander's Peak. Touch one of the natives. You can't make it up. Because it's my place in time. The light got in me inside that bone. I was born with the light. My jewel, my gem, beacon light. the anti-nuclear activist I was born to be, my derivative trading, my Hawkins trial, everything, take it all away, my money, my path, my everything, strip me down completely naked, back me into a corner, because that's the way it had to be. Because then I'm the intense, fearless activist. Like a coelacanth or an ivory-billed woodpecker. They thought we were extinct. They thought they killed us all. We're not going to be happy. They thought they killed us all with that gun. Johnny got his gun. Kill the last Canadian geese. Kill the last elk. Kill the last freaking buffalo. Right down, cut the last sequoia. Cut the last redwood. They thought all they had the radical when they killed Silkwood, when they killed, you know, Nora. Nora? You knew Nora made Silkwood. Nora got leukemia the same time I did. You know, it's amazing. Right after Fukushima happened, she died of AML leukemia in 2012. They got her, they got them all. They took it, they thought that they were all gone. We extincted those ivory-billed fucking, those radical, intense, backed into a corner, educated, fucking willing to fucking fight these fuckers totally, call them out and go, they underestimated us. They found one. They found one. On the campus of Weber State University, in a bone marrow transplant center at the top of LDS East 8, acute bone marrow transplant center. They found one. They found others. There's a few sprinkled around. They got a YouTube camera because it's the new visual, the new painting, the new dripper. YouTube. So I'll post this at the exact moment that this happened, 30 years. So historically, people can go back in time in this incredible virtual library. Wow, recorded in history. And all the fucking black and yellow media whores that downplay this, that lie, these fake scientists, whatever, karma is forever. Stand tuned.